All right, guys. Mailbag.
Okay, Christy, I think this one's probably more directed towards you. So Il Maraz wants to know, why does the Moon song randomly get stuck in my head, and how do I remember it all?
I don't fucking know why everybody remembers that song. I legitimately, guys, was like, oh, this is nice. They gave me a musical. And now I've got to like make sure that it's, like I do the best job I can. And then everyone else was like, kind of like, I know like Shia hated the musical episode, but too bad they made us do it. We were employed. And then when we, I was actually kind of embarrassed by it.
Why? Why were you embarrassed?
Well, I was embarrassed by everything. When you're a teenager, you're like, oh my God, everything, my body, my nose, like everything. And so, I guess I had done more musical theater that was actual musical theater. So to me, this was like almost like a parody of what musical theater was. So I was like, they're making fun of it, right? But they weren't. And at the same time, I was like, I'm going to lean into the comedy of it because we've been doing comedy like this. And it felt very much on brand for who everyone was. So that, to be honest, though, the Moon song, while it felt ridiculous, it also did have a nice like lyrical like cadence to it or something that I didn't realize then, but now I realize now that's why it's like an earworm kind of do-do-do-do-do, so it's very like almost like Lin-Manuel does this, like very his cadence of all his stuff in canto and stuff. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I don't fucking know.
Did John Coder write that too?
No, you totally know.
I think he did.
Wow.
I think he did.
That's a great explanation.
I think it's just earworm with the way that he, and I don't think he meant to do that. Like, I don't think that song was meant to be the song. Like, any one of those songs could have been that song. It just happens that song was like more factual.
Well, it's because even when you did your throwback shows, didn't you do a throwback show about that song?
I did one fake episode that was more like a content, and you know who we have to get? Tell me she's coming to the reunion.
Who?
Lauren.
Oh, Frost.
Yeah, so we just talked to her.
Okay.
She was with AJ Trouth, and we connected. And
you don't mean with? No, she's like married.
No,
right?
no. She was. They were out. They went out and they had lunch.
Okay.
And they reached out, and yeah, I said we went. We have to get in here for sure.
Oh, I love Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren's incredible.
She's turned into the person I've always thought she would be. Like, she's been such a like we lost touch like fairly quickly after I went to New York and went to college, but like we were very close for like a while.
Yeah.
And we hung out and we got into some trouble together, like at the Grove or whatever it was called back then. It was Universal City Walk.
Oh yeah.
That was big then for all the young Hollywood people. So silly. We were so silly. Yeah, anyway, I don't really understand why the song is so catchy, other than it's simple.
It was written great, first of all. But I think you're right. I think the tune was catchy, and and it was just that whole episode again kicked off like a new thing that was happening in television at that time.
And it made history important and cool,
Yeah, it brought back the musical vibe.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what was interesting about and we'll get into the details of this episode, I'm sure, later, but like the musical episode was shot in a single camera style, like High School Musical ended up being, and it tested off the charts. See, this is what I don't know about with Disney, and we may never know because we're not internally working there, but they tested like everything. Mm-hmm. And they would have that feedback, as I guess we would call it now, like analytics. Mm-hmm. Like, you can look at analytics for everything you post online.
Yeah.
You know a lot of data about people, where they are located, how old they are. And this is like stuff that Disney probably invested millions upon millions of dollars to be able to make millions and millions of dollars, right? Yeah. And to make programming that was competing with Nickelodeon, because at the time they really wanted to compete with Nickelodeon. And it's interesting that they went full circle back to their roots of that musical movie making, like the Beach Blanket Bonanza and all the stuff that was trending, I guess you could say, back in the day.
It's really wild. You think about that was a whole era that lasted a long time.
Yeah.
Everything nowadays seems to, there's such a fad. It comes and goes so quickly. But, you think of Elvis.
Yeah.
Elvis's entire career were those beach like
Yeah.
And Viva Las Vegas.
yeah. I mean, it was just all like singing songs and acting on the beach in Hawaii and all over the place. But that was like a whole thing that lasted forever.
And then I think they borrowed it
From Lizzie, because they had the Aaron Carter episode, right? And then we had the BB Mac one, right?
Oh, yeah. That was more like, I felt like the rock star, typical Disney stuff that they had done. Like I had said in another episode, like they really, before they started doing single camera programming, they were doing like televised Disney World concerts with like Britney Spears and, all the like very wholesome pop groups of the time that kids really liked. And it was,
She was very wholesome. I had a picture of her on my wall.
I bet you did.
Very wholesome.
Who?
Oh, Christina. She was a genie in a bottle.
Yeah.
Don't you know you had to rub her the right way?
I mean, that's what they said.
Very wholesome.
See?
Exactly. That's the truth, though. It's funny because there's this. Well, we can get into this. Let's get into this.
Let's get into another question.
Are you sure?
No,
No,
go for it.
45 minutes. We have
true.
to fucking do this.
Go for it.
So, listen. Disney girls have a reputation, right, for basically starting off very wholesome and then eventually getting, I guess you would call it, turned out. Don't get caught up in the words.
Don't you know about the Disney girls?
It's the concept. It's the concept. There's this concept of, oh, Disney girls gone wild, and that's like the fantasy of every young man who has posters on their wall. Yeah. No, I'm not saying like the tape itself, although some of them do come out, but like it's like it's interesting to me, like how that is something that I.
Well, I mean, I think it's probably akin to like what you think of when it comes to like private school girls or girls that go to all girls schools. I mean, it was definitely a thing because since I was raised in that environment, went to an all boys Catholic school, and my sisters all went to an all girls school. You get that sense that there's kind of like this like heightened, sexual tension because they're not around.
They're so in a bubble.
They're in this bubble and yeah. Anyway,
so there's so let's break it down. There's a fascination with what is the opposite of.
For sure. Well, I think that it's at least in regards to like this Disney thing that happens with young people, whether it's men or women, but it's definitely happens to I think the younger girls more is. They're put in this box that at some point they don't fit anymore, and their goal and like and you kind of you act out against it. You rebel against the box you've been put in.
And you also have the whole like industry supporting that change. They're like, oh, I can make money off of you.
Yeah, I mean, yes or no. I mean, Miley Cyrus went way. I don't think anyone was saying go crazy. That was her. I think finding her own lane.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a bit of every actor, I feel like, especially like look at me. Like you do Even Stevens Beans, which is generally a kids show, and then you do Weeds, which is probably wouldn't show that to my kids. That's generally what an actor.
Yeah,
would
I think
you want to play different roles.
You're not going to have that problem if you are fortunate enough to be an actor that doesn't start off in an industry that is entirely focused on children's entertainment.
Right.
And so when you start off in an industry that's all about children's entertainment, you're kind of stuck in that space. And especially if you become really successful and really popular, it makes it even more difficult for that person to grow up. But people do it all the time. They go through that transition and then it becomes, I don't think it's so much the industry trying to push them that direction. It's just the media,
Sure, I feel that.
Grabbing at the ooh, look how bad she's being,
I see. So there's a difference between industry and media.
Yeah, and it happens, I think, more so to young women who are kind of like the poster child of like everything's sweet and innocent, and then now suddenly she's like, no, I want to crawl around on the ground or swing on a ball in my underwear. Mm-hmm. And people are like, what? It's like, yeah, she's a grown up now. She's a woman and she wants to explore how she wants to express herself, and she has more control now than she did when she was a 13-year-old girl.
See, it seems so interesting because to you that doesn't seem like a big deal. Like to you is like that's linear. Yeah. Like that's fine.
It is.
It's completely acceptable for you. And you have a bunch of sisters.
Yeah, my sisters didn't go through that world. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that it's unacceptable for a woman to go through that. I think she definitely, it's her right to do whatever she wants. The difference is most people, when they're going through childhood, aren't under a lens where they're constantly being scrutinized for how they act, how they dress, what kind of image they're presenting themselves as, especially when that image is making you money.
Right.
So then at some point you rebel against that and be like, no, I don't want to be that anymore. I want, and you have the power and the ability to shape shift. And that freaks some people out. And it becomes great magazine covers to sell.
I came in like a wrecking ball.
It also is great posters for Steven's walls.
Exactly. For young dudes that want to hang
Very
on the wall.
Maybe I want to be
sticky.
naked.
Young or old dudes, who knows?
I was actually curious. Yeah, how was your transition from being Beans? I mean, like, not just being Beans, but being young, perceived in a very young lens. Like,
It's interesting because the industry, that's all you know growing up. So, that's, all you know, and that's what's normal. So when you maybe fall out of the limelight a little bit and start becoming, I guess, more of a real human being and not a child actor, it is a bit of a mind fuck, you might say.
interesting.
Yeah, it had to be hard going from that to a sex symbol.
It is.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Would you ever have an OnlyFans?
Oh God!
God.
Honestly, some people have honestly asked me about that, and no, God, no.
No.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I've had people reach out online.
Wait,
and
really?
Like, yeah. Oh yeah.
Who?
Beans gone wild.
Random dudes.
Beans is Frankenbeans.
Beans is Franken.
Let's put it this way: a woman has never asked if I have an OnlyFans. Let's put it that way.
What does that mean? Oh, a man?
Yeah, it's only guys. Only guys asking.
Well, wait
if I
a
have
minute. Did you
OnlyFans.
know there's a guy? I'm looking forward to interviewing him on Vulnerable's podcast. But his name is Dan Benson, and he was on Wizards of Waverly Place or something, right?
Oh, I've heard about him.
He's become a sex worker on OnlyFans and dedicates, and he's not, I don't think he identifies as gay, but he
makes money off the industry,
and he gives it to Trevor Project. He gives like proceeds to fund, Trevor Project, which supports, gay youth. And so it's a very lovely and noble thing that he does. But he is a sex worker. You know what I'm
So
saying?
he has his wand out, is what you're saying.
He whips that wand around.
Oh.
And for a membership fee. Yes.
Well, lumos dicumos.
I love these like one-liners that
Wow.
you're saying. I'm feeling it.
I'm right next to him. And I don't even know what the hell he's saying.
As long as you stop farting, that's all we care about, Nick.
What? Never.
Blew up your spot, buddy. I blew
Never.
up your spot. Okay, next question.
Thank God you can't smell through these mics.
Actually, I literally went to the bathroom and you made it smell better after you went to it. So. What
I
what
fart
is it?
roses.
All right, you guys.
All right, let's see the next one.
You want to do this one or you want to keep? We could skip around.
It's Amy Martin. It's Amy Martin. I think
It's Amy.
Yeah, it's Amy
A.
Martin. All right, I think we got your name right. It's Amy Martin. Not a question, but I just want to say thanks for making my childhood awesome. Aw,
How many? If
thank
you had
Aw.
a dollar every time someone said that to you, right?
I would be almost rich. I'd be almost rich.
How many times do you think someone has said that to you? Let's guess.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
I don't know, but
It's,
yeah.
it's the
How many
most.
times a year do you think? Okay, so let's break it down. How many times a month do you think somebody says it to you? I would say I probably get told that about 100 times a month. No, that's too much. What do you think?
Oh, that's nice.
All right, let's say about.
You're clearly
I'm saying social media.
way more popular.
No, it's social media. That's
Way
the
more
only
popular
reason.
than
That's
I
the
am.
only reason. So 50 times a month, let's say 50 times a month on social media, somebody says, "You're my childhood," right? Or if it's, and I post and I'm on and I comment a lot. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay, so 50 times a month times 12. I don't even know how much it is. So a lot. Times how many years?
600.
Yeah, it's just like thousands of times a year that you hear that. And that means, I hope that means that we've made tens of thousands and whatever people.
Whatever the number is, the hashtag here is Disney Golden Years, which we definitely.
I told
agree.
you.
We all agree with that. But it is the most common response I get from anybody that knows the show, no matter what their like background is, walk of life, where they grew up. It's just it's kind of like. That's the common response from everybody, is that this was like a special time in their life that where life was good. Yeah. And it's really cool because there'll be times where, now our fans from the show are full grown adults with their own kids and their own family. And I will meet adult men who may not recognize me right away. And there's that little, male bravado kind of thing. And then all of a sudden when they realize who it is, they turn into like soft little teddy bears, and they're just so sweet and so grateful. And it's like, it makes me think of Jim Carrey. There's this one line that Jim Carrey said, like, I'll probably screw it all up, but he talks about what it's like being him. And he's like, imagine a world where every time you meet somebody, complete strangers, they always show the best of themselves to you. Like they always smile, they always laugh, like because
it's like being a teacher.
Because
like an elementary school
what
teacher.
Jim Carrey is to so many people in the world.
Well, maybe not nowadays, but
Yeah.
What Jim Carrey is to so many people in the world is like laughter and joy, and so that's all he sees when he meets people. He's like that's what his life is like. So he's so blessed to have that life.
that almost has to be corrupting, Because like you only see the best.
It
It's
is.
like,
It is to people who are predators.
yeah, well, yeah, it's like you only see the best out of people.
You
know?
can manipulate
I don't.
them if you
Yeah, I
want.
mean, I definitely don't think it has to be corrupting. I mean, I think that if anything, I think that the idea of the worst in people or the negative side of people has less to do with who we really are. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get
like,
what you're saying.
like there's life sucks sometimes. Life is hard sometimes, and you treat people like shit, not because one, that's who you really are, or that person deserves it. It's just that moment. So if you have the ability to like touch people in a way that it brings out the best in who they are, that's a great gift to
But
have.
what I'm saying is, for you to be treated like your ass is on a cloud 24/7, that has to have a mental effect on us, correct?
In the wrong
it-
hands is my point. Yeah.
I mean,
In the hands of Nick, maybe
well,
not.
No, I mean, it can impact everyone differently, right?
And at different times in their life.
For sure. But in my own experience, especially when I'm, like I said, confronted with like guys, when you see these people that know the show, and you can observe that shift that happens in them when they realize, oh, you're from that show. It brings back such a purity, and like, that it's a blessing, man. If I ever, like, out of all the shows that we could have been on, out of all the opportunities we could have had in our careers,
Sure.
to be on a show that people remember that way is
And a character.
is such a blessing. Such a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, truly.
So-
I think, I mean, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, no, it's in a way, yeah. In a way, yes, but I definitely feel like it's been harder to, make authentic relationships, because you definitely have that feeling where, people are going to use you, or, people definitely only are talking to you because they feel like they can get something out of you. So it definitely feels like it has a good side and a bad side.
Yeah, I've always thought of you, because you were so young, that like over the years it must have been hard, because a lot of the kids that watched the show were your age, sorry. And a lot of the kids that watched the show were just a little younger than me. So there was already that like disconnect for me. Whereas if they're your peer age and you're meeting these people, then it's got to be pretty hard to fit in.
Especially even more so with this industry, because nowadays you always got to be networking. You always got to be making those connections. Well, sometimes you want to have that authentic relationship where I don't want anything in return.
Well, I mean, but I think you can have that, man. I mean, it's like when people talk about Los Angeles and everyone has an opinion of what LA is, and absolutely, it's probably all of those things too. But at the end of the day, no matter where you are, in my opinion, it is what you make of it. Like, the great thing about Los Angeles, and I was born and raised here, you can find whatever you want to find here. If you want to find shitty people, you will find shitty people. But if you really want to cultivate a beautiful community, you can do that too. And there's a lot of places in the world that you can go that I promise you, no matter how hard you try, it's gonna be hard to find those types, like the people you want there, because they're just not as many people there. They're not as open-minded, so I think that there's more reward in it than then I think,
Yeah. Then the credit I'm giving for it. And
yeah. But again, it's what you make out of it.
No, I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree.
So do you think that in your experience that it's interesting because people, regardless of what show you were on, people might want to take advantage of you because they think that you're, you've made a bunch of money in the business, right?
That's definitely universal for a lot of child actors.
I was going to say, I thought you mentioned something another time in some interview where you were like, oh no, I know what this was when you did our documentary thing, where you had said like, Coogan Money came out.
Oh yeah,
So
it's like the winning the lottery. You get all these your relatives and friends.
Did you get a lot of money from your Coogan account?
Not a lot.
Okay.
Wait, what was this?
Maybe.
So Coogan they take 30% of our monies and then they stored it until we hit 18. So when you were 18, your dad was still alive, right?
Mm-hmm, dad was still alive.
And you got access to it and you were living here?
No, I was still in Fresno.
In Fresno.
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fresno.
I was just about to move. Yeah.
Fresno.
Dad and I
No.
were just about to move to the big city.
Man, I wish I would have known you then. I would have for sure convinced you to buy some real estate.
Oh man,
Me too, dude. I would have loved to. I would have been.
I'm gonna start working with.
You got to start doing Coogan mentorship.
Yeah, I
because
gotta start
honestly,
working
if
with-
there was anybody who could be so helpful,
young actors
This guy,
to start buying real
For
estate.
real.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Coogan mentorship.
That'd be great.
That should be a fucking
that
thing.
would be incredible.
Okay, you're 18, you have your Coogan money. Let's talk about what you're
Yeah,
gonna do,
exactly.
dude. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, there's a market for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Huge market.
Yeah.
Just because, you get all that money, and your parents they want some, or whoever wants some, or your boyfriend
Everybody's got
wants
ideas.
some, and
You know,
everyone's got ideas.
Oh, you get to invest in this.
Or
yeah.
you do nothing with it and you watch it dwindle down
Yeah.
and you're just like terrified. And then it's like the money goes away. Okay, so for my Coogan money, I had a chunk of change. I went to college on it for the first year and a half. And I went to an Ivy League college. So it was very expensive. And I didn't take any loans, nothing like that. My parents were always like, oh, this is going to be so great for you. You use your Coogan money for college, right? But everything else, they fucking blew. And, well, not blue, but pretty much blue. So then I had it set aside, but I left to go do Broadway, right? And I did Broadway for like 6 months. Broadway doesn't pay that much money. It really doesn't. It pays like less than what we were making by the end of Even Stevens. Probably even you guys, if you made less than me, honestly. So I was just like, okay, this is a lot of work and I'm burnt out. So I came out here and I got a book deal. I got some record deal. None of those really panned out. My book didn't sell. My record deal got bought out. I never made any real music. So it was really kind of like I was in stasis, like just here in my 20s and just kind of like that reserve of money rather than go back to college. For some reason I was like, well, I'm young and I didn't really love college. I'm going to stay here. And it's just like you watch it go away, and like you just don't know what to do. You're paralyzed. Mm-hmm. You have choice paralysis when you have that money.
That's one thing that even with friends of mine who are pro athletes, this was always at one point.
Same.
Yeah, at one point I wanted to even start like a real estate investment company with another buddy of mine, Patrick Sapp, who played pro ball, just because everyone in that industry, very like the average career is like 3 or 4 years. And then they're done. Mm-hmm. And so it's like that's like this little tiny window of opportunity you have where you've made some cash, and if you do it right, you could make that last. I mean, look,
for your whole family too.
Yeah,
you have a family,
sure.
and
it's not always going to work out, but it's going to work out a hell of a lot better than just buying a nice car and blowing your cash right away because you think it might last, but it doesn't. But you know what? We should grab another question out of the mailbag.
Okay, let's do it. What kind of TV trope episode do you think Even Stevens could have made? What do you think, guys? Or do you want to say that one?
TV trope we could have made?
Yeah, like flip it back to the 1950s. Do like a Pleasantville episode where you're like black and white, or do like. I mean, we did some fun ones, but I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been cool. You know, it would have been fun to do a Twilight Zone episode.
Oh, that'd have been great.
That would have been very cool.
We did a Halloween one, but first of all, we never did a Christmas one. We did a Hanukkah one, but it would have been fun to do a Christmas one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm Catholic, but I actually enjoyed the fact that we did a Hanukkah episode.
You know, a lot of people actually felt represented.
I think it was only
that's the thing is that like, same
time,
thing,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
wasn't it?
It was, and it still is. And like they put it out now. I think they promote it on what is.
There was a lot of kids that felt like, oh, cool, we have one because everything is Christmas.
Right.
But
that's cool. Yeah, I'm proud of that.
Why don't
Okay.
you get that one, Christy?
Okay, so what does the show mean to you? Okay, so Maddie Lane C, MADDELAINC. It's a pretty profile picture.
What at Madeline?
It's Madeline. Oh
think
no, I read that not
it's
right.
okay. I think it's Madeline.
I
could
think
be
you're right.
Oh, fuck. Madeline C. What's up? What's up?
What does the show mean to you?
And I'm the dumb one of the family.
Shut the fuck up. What does that say? I don't think so. Now that I think about it. The show. Wow.
Yeah.
What does the show mean to me? Can somebody else take this while I percolate?
Honestly, it means so many different things. It depends on the time of day, and like it means family. It means my beginnings. It means what I know. It means
Well, especially for you, like being with now that your dad's not around.
Yeah.
That was like probably an important time that you got to spend with your dad. That you know what I mean? Like you weren't just off at school.
It was really when I really kind of became awake of just reality and growing up, because you're aware of stuff as a kid, but then you have like some moment where you just start remembering things like as a little bit more.
I was gonna say, do you have like many memories before even Stevens?
Not really.
See, that's
I was
crazy.
Just so young.
Like you were like born into
this.
into the Even Stevens family. It's like your first.
Yeah.
Shit, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So honestly, it means really only thing I know.
I have to ask you a question. So you've always said that like you thought that I was very like nurturing to you.
Yes, very.
Do you have examples of this? Because I feel like I don't remember being a very nurturing person.
Like
Help a sister out right now.
I'm like, can you make me feel good?
We may not be able to do this, but just one example I remember. Like, I remember Shia was talking about Hillary Duff's muffs one time.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
It was in the wardrobe or the makeup
wardrobe
trailer
or something, right?
Yeah,
and you just kept going. He means her mittens. He means her mittens.
Oh my god.
Not her boobs, her mittens.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
And didn't they like go on a
I was
date?
not
I don't
around.
remember.
I think no, they did. It's documented. They went on a date and it was weird. Yeah. That's so funny.
That's one of the things.
He was
And
so
just-
weird.
Yeah, I just remember you just trying to nurture me the best you could. And
I definitely was trying to shield you from
Yeah.
definitely from Shia. Well, you know what it was? You know what it was?
no,
Shia
that's-
was like the
that's
worst
just being-
big brother to you.
That is just being a 14-year-old boy. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
I know.
This ain't weird.
14-year-old
This is what
boys, yeah.
you do
They
as
were
a 14-year-old
it was
boy.
chaos on set. Like, I mean,
yeah.
y'all get away with a lot
we
on
did.
set, right?
Yeah, we would never get away with the shit nowadays.
Or in school or like in real life, you'd have to do it like away from the eyes of adults. We were doing this shit in front of adults. They were like, they loved it. They thought it was hilarious.
Well, I mean, see, it's,
definitely was
but no, but that's what's funny to me though, because again, like I was in such a different place.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you guys were just being kids, and you actually had a set where you could be
That's true.
kids. You didn't have executives from Disney running around. Like, no, it was
Like, because at
that was-
sitcoms, they are way more present, the executives. They are
Oh
right
my
there,
God.
right?
Yeah,
Like every
especially if
week,
you have a live studio audience.
I don't know how Raven does it, man.
No,
you know
way.
Raven. She's
yeah,
a sweetheart.
I love Raven.
I do
yeah,
not know
no,
how.
I think that again, everyone had their own experience, but from my perspective, you guys had room to be. It wasn't like you guys were hanging out in the dressing room smoking pot at fucking 12 years old.
Well, we know.
right?
Smoking pot's the worst thing you could possibly do.
I mean, clearly, ask Marlon. Ask Marlon Wayans. But yeah, I mean, that's I think that you guys had. Not to impose my experience on yours,
No, but it's interesting to hear
that's,
your perspective.
again,
being an
that's-
adult
that- yeah,
in the
that's
room
how I,
while we were
that's how
kids.
I saw it.
Yeah.
You know, like
Well, and
you guys-
also you dropped
which
in.
is why I didn't hang out with you guys so much, because you were just kids being kids. You know.
Obviously. makes
Yeah.
sense to me.
I was emo being emo. I was like insecure about everything.
Oh, and I
scared.
just wanted to be accepted by y'all so
he
much.
was just
I was
like-
just
Well, I think that's part of the reason why you see Christy at that time as being so kind of like comforting is you weren't a peer.
right.
You were the young
Yeah, I
brother.
definitely looked up to y'all so much.
and she kind of probably like was a little
I
tender.
played into that.
She was a little tender with you and took you under the wing a little bit.
I think maybe that
whereas
must have happened.
the other dudes in the cast, she had to like
Yeah, so when you say
be a
you
little
were
more
bitch,
spiteful with.
that is not
Not
my
to
memory
you.
of you at all, Christy.
I
no.
don't mind owning it. I don't
Yeah.
mind owning it. I actually, there's so much of me that wants to get back to who that was, but in ways that are not that you would think, right? So like, I think like in my lifetime, I've thought of myself and been like, how can I get back to the person I was when I was playing Ren Stevens? Like that person right there had so much joy, so much discipline, so much energy, and so much focus. Like, I mean,
You mean before you had 2 kids to take care of?
I know this is probably like a very skewed lens at the moment, but no, I'm actually talking about spiritually.
Yeah.
I think there was like a cleanliness there that was marred over time, which like I know what's Nick's gonna say. Big brother Nick is gonna say, yo, this is natural. This is what happens. One happens and the other, and it feeds all together, and it's a beautiful mosaic of your spirituality.
That sounds fantastic. Whatever she just said. I think.
Right. I feel like I'm starting to get to know your worldview.
You already answered the question.
I'm going to use that.
It's a worldview. Yeah. I think that what happens with child actors is that our worldview becomes very, very different, very fast. And then it's like, eventually though, I think like, and I'm living with a veteran, right? So he's seen some stuff. And so it's like, he'll talk to me sometimes. He'll be like, hey, like, you're not the only person. You're not unique. You know, like you have to be present and you have to realize that other people have crazy shit going on in their lives too. And you have to, stay present and grateful.
Well, it's funny because like whenever I'm going through one of my, depressed moments or not feeling great, the one thing I always remind myself of is you're not the only person experiencing this, but it is only your experience. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
that's cool.
It's not that the world is necessarily even like that that it's really like that. Like when you're feeling like shit, it's not because the world is shitty. That's just how you're feeling, but you're not the only one feeling that way, right? It's like, and it's the same thing like when things are going great and you're feeling amazing, don't get too high on your own sauce because it's also not a reflection necessarily of what the world is. It's just how you're feeling at that moment. And so it's like, that's my first tattoo I ever got was, it all changes. And I don't have many tattoos, but I spent 7 years contemplating getting this tattoo because no matter what you're going through at any time in life, whether it's great or whether it feels like shit, it's okay.
And that's so much show business
It all changes. It all changes. Like this is just this little moment right now. And it's not necessarily a reflection of the world outside of you, just a reflection of how you feel at that moment, right?
I definitely feel like it's amplified in show business and acting though, because the highs are so high and then the lows are just low.
Oh yeah, it's like gambling, man. When you're winning, it's you're on top of the world.
Intoxicating. Intoxicating.
Well, and that's the one thing that I don't love about the industry, and it's the one thing that as I got older, I really had to pull away from. Is I didn't like early on when I started, there was something very kind of like addictive about walking into a room and kind of like
landing your audition.
Landing that shit. It was so good. It was intoxicating and like in a positive way.
Sure.
It was like my confidence would go through the roof and you got good at being confident in the room, right? But as time goes by, I didn't like always checking myself in the mirror. I didn't always like having the focus on me so that I was always so conscious of me physically. You know what I mean? And I feel like everything else I've done in my life since then is more of an outward thing. It's, it's like your impact on people through your action or how you're creating community or whatever it is. Even art, like whether it be painting or anything, it's not so much how you look as a person. Or it's
not so much what your body represents as much as what your body can do to serve.
Absolutely, it's more about your output.
Yep.
Like what are you putting out there into the world? Yep. And that I would rather focus on that than focus on me, because then it's like any child actor, especially, it gets hard to age. This industry is not cool to you as you get older, right? Because the world can't handle the fact that you change. Yeah. And so the most important thing is to don't be in a space where you're so hypercritical of how you look or what you're going through, because then it gets really hard to survive in this industry. But if you can stomach that and accept that you're going to change no matter what, and then great. But it's when you're under that lens constantly, it's very hard to have that perspective.
Dude, kids have that in social media now too.
Oh my God!
I think
so much more. I think than we ever did.
Yeah.
Ever did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying
they
even being on a
just
show,
as bad, if not
it's
worse.
worse.
Well, even my generation,
it's worse.
like, because I grew up with MySpace, and we didn't even have that.
No.
It was-
Now,
yeah.
well, MySpace was not as like ever present in your life as
You'd have to like
also-
go on. You'd have to go on a computer to check your MySpace. You had to like upload stuff
Yeah.
to like be a part of the community. It wasn't on your phone. So.
Yeah, and it was more about finding people than it was about showing
And music.
pictures of yourself.
MySpace was about
Well,
music.
it became about music for sure. But back to this question from Madeline C. This show honestly was huge for me in so many ways. Number one, it was the only series regular show I ever got in my career. I mean, I was on a soap for
Me too.
for a couple of years,
Me
but,
too,
but I
actually.
wasn't a lead in that, right? So it was the only series regular show I ever had, which in many ways kind of like validated my career. Like as an actor, the one thing you want to be able to say is that I'm a working actor. I'm on a show. So it was that for me. And then more importantly, beyond the acting career, that was the thing that gave me the seed money to start doing everything else I've done since then. And it wasn't big money. It was tiny money, but it was at a time in real estate that, I mean, I bought my first place.
I was gonna say, did you like sell your boat? Like, how did you?
No, I kept the boat for a while, and then I eventually got rid of it. But no, I bought my first place in Playa del Rey on our first season.
You just saved? Did you save up?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I never spent money on, like, I didn't need a cool apartment. I didn't need a fancy
didn't, like,
car.
flex?
No. I was never in. I mean, I come from a family that like keeps their cars for 25 years, so I'm used to like that hanging on to things. But yeah, it gave me a chance to buy real estate at 23 years old, which I never would have had that opportunity. And from then I just, kept rolling it forward. But I made way more money in real estate than I ever made on Even Stevens, like way more.
You actually bring up, so in terms of cars, I purchased my first car.
You had one I wanted to get. I'm so mad I didn't buy it off of you.
Oh, what? G500?
No, that Corvette you had.
Oh shoot, you remember that?
Yeah, we met up once and you had this Corvette.
I had a 72 Corvette at one point that was from my uncle in Ohio, and nothing was original on it, so I wouldn't feel bad. But it was a pretty great car. It needed a little bit work done, and I got somebody here in California to take it off my hands.
Stingray, right?
Yeah, it was a T-top.
Stingray.
It was a T-top.
It was a T-top
yeah,
Stingray.
It was amazing. I used to take it.
What color was it?
Well, it originally was cherry, like cherry red. It was like deep cherry red with like really cool. I should have kept it that color because that was really rad. I changed it to like
white,
shark
right?
gray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was gray and it had like some black racing stripes on the side.
Oh,
that's
God.
sick, though.
You were selling it.
Yeah, it had all original interior though.
Was it a bad car?
No, it wasn't a bad car.
God.
It was just not. It was used for street racing in Ohio, so nothing was. A lot of the internal parts were not like new and
God.
Legal?
it was fun though. Yeah, it wasn't. I actually think that the
What'd you-
front of
what'd
that
you
car
sell it
was
for?
elongated. I think like I started needing money, so I sold it. But I didn't need it because I never drove it, and I moved to like deep in the valley, so it's like I had to park it, and I didn't want it.
Yeah, there was
7,500 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, there was. There's not many cars I get excited about, and I don't know why, but I never forgot that car.
No shit.
Yeah, I was like, damn, I should have bought that off.
Man, I wish I took more pictures of certain things
Yeah.
like that. Like I have one picture of me sitting on that car, and I'm gonna show
It
my
was
kids.
just such a
someday.
classic.
Wow,
It was so
that's
beautiful.
crazy.
Yeah. I
Okay,
remember
so
that.
wait, my first car that I actually purchased though was I purchased with my Even Stevens money. My first purchase was on behalf of our apartment that we lived at in Marina Del Rey, and it was a big tube TV, like a big screen, widescreen tube TV when they were tubes. And then when I got my driver's license, I guess, did I already have a car when you came into the picture? Probably.
I
right?
don't remember. To be
It was
honest, I
a
don't
red.
remember.
It was a red Volkswagen convertible, cherry red cabrio.
Beetle?
It's a cabrio.
Oh, cabrio,
I had a
yeah.
cabrio with a beige.
That's a sensible car to buy for your first car.
It was actually.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I want to get back to who that girl was because she was really sensible.
I think I remember that actually. Now that
And
you say that,
I have a picture of me with David Grace and David Brookwell and Tom Burkhardt,
so funny.
and they all came in the car. And we drove down like whatever that street was, and it was a really beautiful moment that I ended up sharing with like the writing team and the producers,
cool.
and they were really like excited for me to have like gotten that for myself because they knew that was like, it was good. It was not like I got a Porsche.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I went and did something crazy.
Yeah.
I just went and got a cute, sensible car, and they were like family for me in that way, right?
Yeah.
Like, because my siblings weren't near me, so that was cute.
That's cool.
I know, that was really cute. That was a good moment. And then I remember I got a little wild. I picked Shia up. This is really interesting. So that car, I was like, Shia, come in. I want to show you. And he was like, what is he, 14 or 15? I don't know, 17. And I was like, come on, man, come on in. And I was like trying to bond with him. I think I made him nervous, to be honest with you. I think looking back, I might have intimidated him a little bit, personally. I don't know. He probably fucking hated me, but whatever. So I told him to get in the fucking car. So he gets in the car with me. This is one of the only times we don't have a lot of like solo, non-performative times together. We really didn't. We were like always on opposite schedules and opposite. So from what if I assumed that he didn't like me, might have not been that at all. And it might have just been a little bit of just miscommunication as young people. So I said, get in the car, and I start driving. And I start driving really fast because I want to show him the car. And I'm like, isn't this cool? Look at us. We're driving fast. He's like, dude. He's like, slow the fuck down. Slow down. You're driving too fast. And he got really nervous. And I really freaked him out while we were driving that car. And then I returned it. And it was right about the first day or two that I got it. And I had to come back. And I don't think he liked that.
She was very proud of that moment. You could tell.
That's
Well, because
awesome.
you know why? Because he always gave me shit about everything.
Yeah, he would always screw with you. A little bit of payback.
Thank you.
A little bit of payback's not bad, right?
Thank you. Okay, thank you. And
That's
the only
fair.
other time that I screwed with him, I'm going to keep for another time. So.
Yeah. Well, so what does the show mean to you? You never really quite answered it.
Oh, it's very hard to pinpoint. Very hard to pinpoint. I don't know how to define it, to be honest with you. I don't know.
It means so much. So many different things. It's hard to say just one, you know?
I don't know how to find it. If I would choose a word, it would be growth. I think is coming to mind. You know what I mean? It's like growth.
It was my first job. It was my first family.
I
It was
grew
my
up,
first love.
you know?
It was my first everything.
Yeah.
It was my first.
Yeah, growth for me. I did so much growing on that set, really. I had my braces taken off in one of the episodes. Like, I had my first on-screen kiss, which was one of my, it was like, and again, first car,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was as special a time in your life as it was for many of the people that watched the show. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's as special a time in all of our lives as it was for many of the Stevens fans out there.
And that's why we're here doing this podcast. Yeah. I agree with you. I think that the show is still so relevant, and that if anyone wants to watch it on Disney Plus, they should enjoy it and know that a lot of good memories were made while making it, for the most part, right?
Yeah. Yes. Well,
Definitely.
We
Good
hope you
memories.
enjoyed our Q&A
that was
today.
another mailbag episode in the bag.
Mailbag.
Mailbag.
And also, you guys should definitely subscribe if you haven't, and go check us out on social media and Patreon. We have like bonus content and all that stuff.
Find us everywhere, and we'll see you guys next Thursday. Boom. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Even More Stevens podcast. If you'd like to catch clips and highlights from the pod, go to Even More Stevens Podcast Clips YouTube channel by clicking the link in the description. And if you want to get exclusive weekly bonus content, join our Patreon now by clicking the link below. See you guys next week.